Well, hello once again. This time, I originally intended to do another prediction video, but I couldn't find enough fights, that were interesting. So instead, now it's going, it's dead time for boxing in most of the world anyway, except Japan, you know. So I kind of wanted to talk about the highlights of this year in boxing. Well, first maybe I should start with talking about the best fighters, the most promising ones also that we saw this year. Okay, well, let's start with the younger ones, the ones that have just, made their mark. Errol Spence Jr., of course, obviously is one of them. Yeah, he stopped Kell Brook in the 11th round in May 26th, I believe, 27th. It was a very good performance, of course, and this kid really, he's got it all. He can fight, he can box, he can punch, he can defend himself also, and he's got speed. He's got, everything. The reflexes, the can throw. He throws a lot of punches, despite being a guy that can knock you out with just a few punches or one punch even. So that's a good thing, I'd say, because you don't want to see guys like Nonito Donaire, for instance, Donaire, as you would say, but that guy, he just became all about that one punch, that left hook, and eventually that's why he started losing big fights. He would just wait his opportunity to land that one big punch, and that's no way to fight really. So to you have to throw punches, measure your opponent up and set up that perfect punch. So in order to do that, you can't just wait for that to happen, and just land that one punch. You have to first go with the jab, 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 and then left hook, or you know, or a right hook. Depends on your preferred weapon. So Errol Spence, he hasn't fought since then, since late May. But I think wait, he's got something planned. Yeah, Lamont Peterson, January 20th. Yeah, I just can't see Lamont being able to do anything really special against Spence Errol. Yeah, so I believe it will be another dominant victory, perhaps most likely a stoppage even. He, I don't really like the fact that Spence hasn't had a fight now for 7 months, so they should have given him something. But he's now the IBF champion, so they don't always look kindly upon champions who take to non-title fights right after becoming champions. That's the problem, I think. Yeah. So that was Errol Spence, and now the big, perhaps the biggest upset of this year was when this guy, who who was always known as Srisaket Sorungisai, but he is now listed at BoxRec as Visak Silwangek. So anyway, either of those names are really unpronounceable to us who are not from Thailand. So anyway, he beat Chocolatito Gonzalez twice, and that was as if decisioning him the first time wasn't incredible enough. That was in March. In September, he knocked out Gonzalez even in 4 rounds. That was, I guess, the biggest upset of this year. Yeah. It's yeah. It just, this guy was always on my radar, but then he lost that fight to Cuadras, and even though it was a technical decision, and he seems just very good at fighting, offensively. He's a pressure fighter, of course, who's got power, obviously. Yeah. And he's always fought, or almost always, at super flyweight, while Gonzalez, he came up first from, he was first at light flyweight, I believe. Yeah. Or even minimum weight. So, he just met a bigger, stronger guy who can, who played the bully, and now this guy, let's call him Wangek. It's more simple. He's fighting that other great. Well, Gonzalez is not Mexican anyway. Estrada, Francisco Estrada. He's hasn't had a loss since losing to Roman Gonzalez exactly himself. That was by a decision in 2012, and he held the WBA and WBO flyweight titles, Estrada, but now he's fighting for a WBC super flyweight one that Wangek holds. So that's gonna be a really, really, really interesting fight. Really, really exciting. Estrada, he can do a bit of both, and box and punch, and and so can Wangek, I guess. So we'll see. Yeah, fighter of the year. Well, that's why I chose. I think Wangek, he just edges out Lomachenko, in my opinion, as the fighter of the year, because Lomachenko didn't beat anyone that was as good, and as just unbelievably intimidating. Let's use that word as Gonzalez. He did beat Rigondal, but Rigondal was getting old and he was naturally smaller guy, and it was impressive, of course. And Lomachenko is, I guess, number 2 after this guy, Wangek. So anyway, I think Wangek deserves it because he not only did he beat Gonzalez twice, the undefeated pound for pound, one of the best, on the planet. He also knocked him out, which is quite amazing, and in only 4 rounds. I don't think anybody expected, that to happen to Chocolatito. Not yet, anyway. Yeah. Fight of the year. Well, obviously that must go to Joshua versus Klitschko. That was really unbelievable, amazing fight. I don't think anybody could have expected, to it to be that great, exciting. Like first three rounds were, they were like feel out rounds, like not too exciting, but still good, But then it came, the fourth, the fifth round when where Klitschko was down. He looked to be on the way out of the fight, and then he miraculously had a a comeback in the sixth. He knocked Joshua down. It was the first time anybody had done that. And then suddenly it looked like Joshua was going to be the one to be stopped, and then Joshua came back, of course, in the late rounds. He showed that he has, the fortitude, the endurance, all that a really great champion needs. And because you can have all the skill in the world and all the power in the world and all that speed, and if you can't take a good punch, if you just have a breakdown after things don't go your way and you start to get pummeled, you are never going to be champion for a very long time. I tell you that. So that was a really good fight, amazing fight. I guess, yeah, as a runner-up, well, a runner-up fight to that. Uh, there were some good fights. I just can't recall right now. Yeah, Usyk versus Hook was a good fight. Yeah, anyway, that was the best fight of the year anyway. The knockout, the upset of the year, of course, was also when Wangek knocked out Gonzalez. And also Luis Neri, he also knocked out Yamanaka. That was a big upset also. In 4 rounds also. So this time it was the opposite. This time it was the Latin American fighter knocking out the previously undefeated Asian fighter, East Asian. So yeah. uh, well, worst fight of the year. Hmm. There were a few fights that were real stinkers, like, for example, Joshua Parker versus Huey Fury. That was a lot of holding, and holding, and just really, and also one big letdown was Hay versus Bellew. Hay, he injured his foot. That idiot in sixth round, was it seventh? I don't know. So before that, neither man was really willing to open up to go forward and land the big, throw the big punches. So in the end, it just became a farce with a really farcical ending. Like Value, of course, he doesn't have the power, so he a lot of punches and landed when Hay was injured. But you could see that they didn't bother Hay at all. So this guy was a light heavyweight until just a few years back. You know. Oh yeah. there is a lot. Of course, another upset was when going back to upsets. Jeff Horn beat Manny Pacquiao. Well, Jeff Horn is kind of a strange case. He's got a few good wins on his record, but neither of them are really, really impressive. He beat Pacquiao in a fight where, many said that, well, that Pacquiao far outlanded him, in terms of punches landed and all that. And, you know, he just didn't have many hurt or, really hurt at any point. And these guys, Dan Rafael and Teddy Atlas, they both gave the fight to Pacquiao clearly. So, Horn, it was only Steve Vance that scored the fight for Horn. Of course, Pacquiao is almost considered like an American fighter, so there's a little bias also there. But anyway, I don't think Horn will get so far. When you see the kind of talents the caliber of the fighters in welterweight division, yeah, it's not very likely that he will ever win a world title or something like that. Yeah. Well, one of the worst, of course, moments of this year, boxing year, was the Ward Kovalev 2 fight. I mean, that was really, come on, and the way, both that stoppage and everything, that stoppage was, acknowledged as illegal, despite you could see that Ward landed 3 big punches below the belt, and after that, Kovalev, of course, he couldn't continue. And everyone, people from, especially, American, especially African Americans, are saying, oh, but he had Kovalev hurt before. Oh, yeah, but Kovalev was still on his feet. He didn't show to be in real, he was. He didn't show. He didn't. His feet didn't tremble or anything. He stood upright and he was on his feet and throwing back, punches, and so, he was far from being, finished. But it was the low blows, of course. Everybody could see that put him out, and it's really disgraceful. First of all, that the referee just, waved it off like it was, a legit stoppage, and then after that everybody was like, oh yeah, what a great victory by Ward, unbelievable. Everybody was started raving. Roy Jones, for instance, also was like, oh yeah, great victory, blah blah. And then I think only one who really called it out was Paulie Malignaggi, and it was just a really, it shows you how much actually, how much politics and, all that shit plays a big role, over there in USA actually. Because had Kovalev been from USA, there is no way that that stoppage would have been declared legal. I tell you right now, no way, no fucking way, man. Since he was Russian, and all that. Doesn't matter if even, I guess, at least half of the American boxing fans liked him. and still do, because he's such an exciting fighter, great fighter. But you know, he's a foreigner after all. When when everything is said and done, uh, and we have seen foreign fighters getting robbed very often by the judges in USA lately, in the last 5 or so years, especially. Yeah, we have like Golovkin versus Canelo. That was no way. That was a draw, of course, and Lara also losing to Canelo before that. You know, that was really disgraceful. I wonder whether Canelo ever is going to lose again. You know, officially. I think he'll have to get knocked out. You know, the only reason why he didn't get the decision versus Floyd was that Floyd himself is, you know, really that big, a big name and all that. He's got his own establishment, and you know. But if you are not, you know, a marquee name and you don't have your own establishment and everything, then you can forget it. Yeah. So anyway, this video became really long. Well, okay, I don't think I was going to talk about fights that we can look forward to next year. Well, obviously the Lomachenko versus Garcia, Mikey is the best one, I guess. The best at the lower divisions, below 147. Yeah. So uh, Anthony Joshua, of course, versus Wilder would be the best fight, I think. Yeah, I like to see Wilder get beat, of course. He's a smart guy. And of course, there is Miguel Berchelt. He is also a possible opponent for Lomachenko. A good opponent for him, I think. Yeah. Hmm. So, you know, I hope Adonis Stevenson gets to, you know, finally comes out of his shell and, you know, agrees to fight Kovalev now that Kovalev is a champion again. You know, so, okay, well, I'm not going to take up any more time of your time, so thanks for watching. Bye bye.